Hi, folks. Welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's supposed to be a lovely day today for this time of the year. In the mid, maybe upper 40s, lots of sunshine, and then it's supposed to turn off nasty, possibly. And you know how the weather goes. It changes every 5 minutes, at least it does here. The weather report has changed about, 2 or 3 times a day over the last week, but possibly starting tomorrow, we will get some rain. And then Tuesday, that may switch over to snow. It may switch over to snow tomorrow. It just depends. And then by Wednesday morning, we could have potentially up to 5 inches of snow. And then there is probably 2 to 3 more times of snow over the next week, next 7 to 8, 10 days, something like that. So a total accumulation possible over the next week is definitely in the 8 to 10 inch range, maybe more. Probably won't get that much. Those are, that's the extreme, the high end of the prediction. So but the point is that it looks like it's gonna winter is finally gonna set in here. And in fact, aside from the snow, which isn't that big of a deal, we're talking about some pretty cold temperatures, single digit lows at night, and cold during the day, the teens during the day. So about ready to see winter here again. Last year it was fairly mild, and it's been extremely mild up until this point. So looks like it's finally on its way. I have said this before, and there's been others on YouTube's that has said this, and I stand by it. It's not necessarily a fear, but it is the probably the biggest worry that I have for all of us, you, I, everyone else, to go through a collapse, to go through these times that we're in. And that is people, just people behaving badly, people reacting badly to stuff. And I think that while certainly, not having available money, currency, the value of it dropping, government behaving badly, wars, all of these other things that are strong possibilities that could happen in our lifetime and most likely soon. I think the worst thing that we're going to have to deal with is just people, just people kind of losing it. I wonder sometimes, I think we all realize that, but I wonder sometimes if we really have thought that through, of how bad that will be, how bad it could be. Looking around us, and especially you folks that are watching that are around my age and older, we all grew up in a time period where, while there were bad things and bad people, the vast majority of the population was decent. It didn't mean that they were all good, but they were decent people. They had a decent level of respect for each other. They had a decent capabilities of just figuring life out to some sort and making it through it, right? I'm not painting this wonderful, rosy picture, but for the most part, people could handle things and kind of get through life. Nowadays, that's not the case. I can't tell you exactly why. I don't think any of us can pinpoint exactly why, but it's mostly because there's multiple reasons. The chemicals that's put in the food, the chemicals that's sprayed, put in the bodies, the Hollywood junk, and then probably a big part of it is just the garbage that's put out on the internet. A lot of people like to blame TikTok, and I think that there's a lot of blame to be laid on TikTok because of all of this just psychoticness that's going on out there. And even the people in our society that aren't like the absolute crazy lunatics online, there's so many of them that just they just have a difficulty grasping just reality. It seems to be a greater difficulty in just coping with stuff. They just can't handle it. People are hyper emotional about everything, and everything is just catastrophic in their life, and there's this desire for attention and desire for more things, and this desire to be more dependent upon all of these things. And when you take all of that away, You take all that away, and you put upon those people really hard, difficult times that your natural survival instincts have to kick in for you to make it through it, and they just don't have that. You're going to see some craziness. We are already seeing craziness. We have over the last several years, unless you've been asleep for the last 3, 4, 5 years. You have noticed that people are just, they're losing it. They're losing their stuff. They're going insane, and it's only going to get worse. And that's something that I think is probably the biggest challenge and the biggest danger that we all really face. Most of you, myself included, are aware of the people that live in and around our areas that could pose as a problem. Maybe they have, drug addiction problems. Maybe you know of people that are on medications that try to help keep them sane, alcohol, different things like that. Maybe they're just degenerates. Whatever it is, there's always those people around us, right? To a certain extent. The problem is that we don't know how many other people around us also fall within those categories, but have a much better capability of keeping it hidden. And when things fall apart, they're all going to be a problem. They're all gonna just kind of lose it. They break down. They're not prepared for what's going to happen. They're not prepared that their cell phones won't work, and that they can't use their debit cards, and that they can't have their all their little conveniences. They're not ready to see just the complete breakdown of society, of people just tossing away all of their just natural human civilized decencies and becoming pretty much animals. When that happens, and it's most likely that it will, this is not some rare phenomenon that's never happened before. In fact, it happens all the time all over the world. And it's happened here in the United States also. If you don't know that, then you should go back and look up stuff that happened during the 2020 Summer of Love. People just lose it, and they become very much animals, if not worse. And they will stop at nothing to get whatever they feel that they need. And when that starts to happen, that's going to be the real dangerous part for us, because it's so unpredictable. There's some predictability of what government is going to do and what they've done in the past and what they'll do in the future. There are ways to avoid that. There's the possibility that the government will be so overwhelmed that they just may not get to you for right now. And so it buys you a little time. But there are people everywhere. People are all around us, and people that behave badly, and people that have a very thin, fragile sanity. They're all around us. And when that's all taken away, when they can't get the things that they want and the comforts that they need, and the stability in their life that keeps them sane, well, then that's when they fall apart. And that's going to be probably the biggest danger to us. That's the thing that we have to be prepared for. And it's going to look different for everyone. For those of you that are in the middle of the city, it's going to look one thing. For those of you in suburban areas, or out here where I'm at, or in conservative areas versus liberal, it's going to look different everywhere. And certainly, history has shown us that it is different everywhere. There are certain times, and I always use an example. Think of Katrina, the Hurricane Katrina, and what happened down there in New Orleans. It kind of fell apart, right? And a lot of people really behaved badly. And then you compare that to, say, the Joplin tornado here in my home state, and it completely devastated that city. But yet the reaction of the people were very different in those two instances. And I know you can say, well, the catastrophe was different, the disaster, blah, blah, blah. Sure, but it still was both cases were very catastrophic. And yet the people behaved differently. In Joplin, there was very little, hardly any crime whatsoever during that time period. People were not looting and stealing from each other. People came together, and it was very calm and peaceful, and people helped each other. Whereas down in Katrina, it was absolute anarchy. It was like just complete anarchy, and just people kind of lost themselves. And there was a lot of really bad things that happened down there. So it is going to look different in different places. But nevertheless, as problems expand and they become more regional or even nationwide, it's going to wear on people, and we have to be prepared for that. That's where the locking yourself into your, shutting the ark door kind of thing probably is the biggest thing that comes into play. And having a good plan to secure yourself in your home as much as possible for as long as you can. I recommend being able to be hunkered down for at least 90 days. When all the crazy stuff happens, if you can hunker down for 90 days and do your best to secure yourself in that way, the vast majority of the craziness and the people doing the crazy things, it's going to be over, or they're going to be, dead in 90 days. And so I think that should be a plan that everyone has. And then that's something that everyone can do, regardless of whether you live out in the country like me or you live in some high-rise apartment. Now, of course, in a high-rise apartment, you're going to have certain disadvantages, but you could also say that you have certain advantages too. Just being able to lock things down, having enough food and water, things to just keep you alive. It's not going to be comfortable and pleasant, but it's survival. It's pure raw survival at that point. And so being able to keep yourself alive, deal with your waste, your trash, your human waste, have a little bit of hygiene, and then being able to keep yourself warm or keep yourself cool, or and then the most important thing really at that point is to just secure yourself. I've always always recommended that having plywood to put over your windows, but have it already now. Like, go now and buy it, measure it, cut it, get all the hardware you need to put it up. That way it's ready to go. Store it in your garage, store it behind your couch or under your bed, to where you can just pull that out real quickly and put it up over the windows. I would do it on the inside instead of the outside, and just make it look like as if you don't exist. That's probably going to be the best thing. Try to keep yourself locked up inside as much as possible when the craziness, if it starts happening in your area. Make it look as if no one is there. That's a benefit. You possibly could lose power, electricity. So you're going to want to have alternative ways to keep warm, alternative ways to cook things, lights, stuff like that. I know that this is a big thing to think about, but you're only talking about a temporary time period. Even 90 days may be more than what's necessary. Most of it's probably going to end in 30 to 60 days if it goes to complete chaos. But still, having at least a 90-day supply and being able to ride it out for that time period, I think is going to be one of the best ways to survive. Also have defensive tools ready. If you're able to leave and to get out of cities and get to a rural area where you already have pre-planned, maybe it's a family's farm or a vacation spot or something like that, you don't want to bug out if you don't have a place to go to. That's just foolish. Of course, do that, and you want to stay ahead of the curve on that and get out before it gets real crazy. But being able to kind of hunker down and kind of get through that rough time period that could happen depending on whatever scenario, if there was a grid down, or the banking system collapsed, or some type of nuclear attack, or something like that, something somewhat big that just causes a breakdown and kind of a domino effect, a big cyber attack like was shown in Obama's movie, that kind of stuff. If that happens, you could definitely see a breakdown of society and people just starting to be crazy. And that's really probably the more dangerous thing that we have to deal with, especially in the immediate. There will be other dangers we have to face later on, but really in the immediate is just dealing with the craziness of people. And so that is a plan that you need to have pretty solid. This year has a lot in store for us, and it could potentially have this scenario in store for us. So you want to make sure you have this plan locked away and secure, and you know how to do it, and you know what you're going to do when it all happens, because it's not something to figure out while it's going on. It's too late at that point. Bottom line is you need to get your houses in order. You need to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.